James Talarico has been getting a lot of attention because he is running for Congress in Texas against Jasmine Crockett in a primary. So Texas is very Republican, obviously, but there's this one district in Texas that the Democrats think they can maybe flip. And the people running in that race are James Talarico, this guy who's like a young, generic, white-looking guy who has taken money from Miriam Edelson, by the way, big APAC, like Israel donor lady. But he's like pretty much like somewhat sympathetic to Gaza. I don't know. He's not like a total Israel shell comparatively, I guess, to Jasmine Crockett, who's running against him. I'm not a Jasmine Crockett fan. Yes, she experiences misogyny and racism, but listen, Jasmine Crockett sucks. And her whole campaign is about her and anti-Trump messaging. And it's just like, I do not stand Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett also accepted money from APAC, has voted to arm Israel, voted to, defund UNRWA and all this stuff, and like is responsible for God knows how many Palestinians' deaths. So sorry, I don't support Jasmine Crockett. Also, she takes a lot of money from the crypto industry, which I don't have a problem with crypto, even like if it's like crypto that is, gonna, I don't know, like you really believe in like open access to banking and payments and things like that. No, she's taking money from Mark Andreessen and Ben Horowitz, two of the most racist, bigoted, far right, reactionary people ever. That's who she's getting paid by. So I don't trust her. But I don't trust James Talarico either. Okay. And guess what? I'm not a Texas citizen, so I just can criticize everyone. But James Talarico went on Ezra Klein and he said this. So he's talking about the rage economy, which I guess is something that he's come up with, this name that he's come up with. Let me just try to fix this so you guys can see it. So yeah, he's talking about the rage economy. So let's listen to what this man has to say.
I just mentioned the billionaires who own the algorithms and the news network.
Oh yeah, I just want to say another thing with James Talarico is he's really leaning into the populist messaging, which I support. Like he is anti-billionaire. Apparently, James Talarico did some law. Somebody told me that he was responsible for some law also that made it so that reality TV stars couldn't do like ICE ride-alongs. So like Dr. Phil couldn't do like an ICE ride-along. And I kind of wish that he would do something like that for influencers, that we don't have like Benny Johnson and Nick Shirley creating content for ICE. So I'm not like totally, I think he has some good ideas. And I love the populism that he's coming with. I love the way he talks about billionaires, but he's very wrong when he comes on tech. And so let's listen to what he says. I'll just start again.
What is to you the rage economy? I just mentioned the billionaires who own the algorithms and the news networks. They have created for-profit platforms that with these predatory algorithms that divide us on an hourly, daily basis, dividing us by party, by race, by gender, by religion. And they elevate the most extreme voices very strategically to provoke our outrage, to provoke our anger, because that leads to more clicks, which leads to more money for them. Because anger sells, hate sells, fear sells. These billionaires and their platforms are engineering our emotions so they can profit off of our pain. They are selling us conflict right into our bloodstream, and they're calling it connection. It's almost like feeding someone empty calories. And I think it's left people starving for actual community, for real relationship.
Okay, so I think it's very funny, by the way. The first reply is one of James Talarico's largest donors is Miriam Edelson, the gambling billionaire who launched Trump's career. Don't love that, as I mentioned. Anyway.
What is to you the rage economy?
I think, so there's something that he says in the beginning. Wait, I'm going to play it one more time.
Mentioned the billionaires who own the algorithms and the news networks.
He talks about it once.
They have created for-profit platforms that...
So he makes a very good point here where he's talking about for-profit platforms that divide us. Like, so I'll tell you what he's wrong about. But I think that he's like spiritually right on a lot of this stuff where like he recognizes that the problem is the profit incentives. He recognizes that these are evil, bad tech companies that don't care about stuff and that they're essentially like, yeah, you're not going to be able to sort of like form wonderful communities when you have these like algorithms. I think the thing but here, it's not even algorithms. Like, I think this is what he gets wrong. So this is something, and I like quote tweeted it and then people were yelling at, I can't remember what I quote tweeted. I was getting annoyed about him or something. I was kind of B word. But anyway, so what I think he gets wrong is that it's not about dividing us. Like, this is what I hear from liberals a lot, where it's like, they're like, oh, they elevate the most extreme voices very strategically to provoke outrage because that leads to more clicks. First of all, guys, no one's clicking anything. Like, what? This is not 2016. No one clicks anything. They want engagement, and that does lead to more money for them. So, but it's not about like, I guess what I mean is like, it's not about dividing us. It's about maximizing engagement. They actually don't want people divided. They want people to believe right-wing messaging. And this is like how do I find like my tweet of this? Let me see if I can find it. Cause I think I did kind of like explain it well, but like in a rude way, but like whatever. Um, let's see. Oh yeah. Okay. So I was like annoyed about this because also like I was just like, oh, Democrats love the like moral panic outrage stuff. So this is my point. I said billionaires aren't trying to divide us for clicks. No one clicks anything. They're using their power to enforce their own right wing worldview while Democrats entrench it with mass surveillance laws. So I think that's like the key difference here is that when you listen to what Talarico says, he's like, they're dividing us for clicks. They want to keep us divided. No, they don't. They want us united around a right wing reactionary ideology. So they actually want everyone united around that reactionary ideology that is pro capitalism and pro billionaire. That is why Elon Musk spends all day, pushing right-wing disinformation nonsense on Twitter, not because he's trying to keep us divided, because he wants to maximize outrage and engagement against like liberal values essentially and push a cohesive right-wing ideology. So this idea that like they want us divided, they don't. They actually just all want us to believe their bullshit. And so I just think like some of the stuff that he says, I guess like the wording of it concerns me because it sounds like he's going into that moral panic territory. And I don't know his tech policies yet, but the fact that he's going on Ezra Klein's podcast is not a good, well, I understand why you go on Ezra Klein. I just mean more like Ezra doesn't have great instincts on tech policy, and so I like worry about anybody talking about tech when they're not, being challenged on things like privacy and stuff. So, but I do like that he recognizes that billionaires are bad. The other thing that I think he's completely misunderstanding is algorithms. I want to take the word algorithm away from Democrats. I want them to actually not be able to use that word anymore because they don't understand what it means. Like algorithms, like what do you mean? The problem is every single feature of every single one of these for-profit platforms exists to maximize revenue. That's not an algorithm problem. You could take away algorithms or whatever, like public facing ranking algorithms, which is usually what they mean when they say this. They usually just mean like the For You page, but there's so much algorithmic stuff. Like for instance, right here where it says, let me scroll down where it says live on X, right? Okay, long COVID happy hour, that sounds great. But like, what the fuck? Like the daily war, this is like some right-wing thing. This is algorithmically generated, right? Like what they're pushing is all algorithmically generated. So like what's happening? These are all all of this stuff is algorithmic. Like what my point is like there's no one universal algorithm that you can like take down or whatever. Like these platforms are designed to maximize profit and keep people engaged in every way that they can. So it's not like the algorithms that are blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, the point is, which he correctly identifies. That's why I'm like, maybe he's on the right path. It's the for-profit incentives that are bad. But when you go down this moral panic stuff of like the algorithms are dividing us, then it starts to sound like you think the solution is censorship of speech, when the solution is to be targeting the billionaires, to be targeting the business model, to break up big tech, to pass comprehensive data privacy reform, to protect the speech rights of marginalized people online and force transparency laws that we know why people are deplatformed, what they're deplatformed for, et cetera, giving people appeals processes. And that does mean defending speech that you don't necessarily like. But he doesn't, I don't think he totally gets that. So it just bothered me. I think I was probably a little too rude as usual on him. Yeah, this is like what I said as well. And people are probably going to be like, Taylor, you're mean. But, whatever. It's like he's better than Jasmine Crockett, who probably, who the hell knows? Again, she took money from Mark Andreessen, so she's really not someone we should listen to. But yeah, I just think that like this idea that he has of like, yeah, he's just misguided, basically. I also think that it's interesting he mentions like traditional media. We have another person here, Melanie Durigo. We're mutuals, and I can't pronounce her name. But she posted this graphic, and I thought it was a good one. I've seen a few people post this graphic online this week. Let me just pull it up so you can see it. But she says, Trump billionaire allies control the news you watch, the AI you're asking for answers, the algorithms feeding, again, let's ban the word algorithms, algorithms feeding you content, your personal data you've given up for access to the devices you rely on. Then she says, I'm sorry, Melanie, I love you, but like, I don't know you, but why are you saying this? They keep us divided to distract us from their exploitation and manipulation. Guys, they're not doing that. They're not keeping us divided to distract us. They actually want us, they want our attention, and they want to direct our attention to Nick Shirley videos, to right-wing content. Like, this is why Elon Musk is amassing literally like hundreds of millions of views on different content. This is also why platforms like Kick and Rumble essentially astroturf their way onto the internet, trying to get content in front of us. They're not trying to distract us and divide us or whatever. Like, which by the way, really, I feel like that it just like, it's also this kind of like centrist messaging. It's like very much like when leftists are like challenging, they're like, oh, this is all like a distractive, like blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying that. Like, I agree with the theory, or not even a theory. I agree that like it's very distracting to do like, let me try to like explain this the right way. I think that there's value to keeping people divided. And I think that there's value in our political system. And I mean this like from the billionaire standpoint, to have Democrats make the Republicans the villain and Republicans make the Democrats the villain. We're not talking about any of that. Obviously, that's a bigger problem with our political system. I'm not talking about that. Obviously, yes, it's to each side's benefit to like, divide, like make the other side the villain. That's not what we're talking about here. Okay, we're not talking about that. We're not talking about like, oh, dividing us into red, blue. No, we're talking about mainstreaming right-wing ideology, which is what all of these billionaires are using their money to do. If you look at this, they're not using their money to divide us. They're not pushing liberal messaging or liberal content at all. What they are doing is they're attempting to unite everyone around right-wing ideology and push right-wing beliefs. So you can see this, right, with the Ellisons controlling CBS News and Paramount and TikTok, or Meta, or Bezos and what he's done to the Washington Post. Like, he's not trying to like divide us in these ways. They're trying to just force their worldview onto us. They actually want people quite united around that worldview. But again, I'm not talking about the political system. I'm talking about the ways that they're using technology to push these beliefs. Because you just do not see leftist beliefs online. You don't. They're not pushing hyper left beliefs and hyper right beliefs and trying to divide people between the two. They're simply pushing right-wing reactionary ideology. And that's what I just want people to understand a little bit more. And I think that like a lot of people don't, because I think that they're thinking of our broader political ecosystem and the way that our two-party political ecosystem is broken and is built on sort of like funneling people into the red or the blue team, neither which I support. But I'm talking about like the way that these people are using tech and using technology, if that makes sense. I hope I like kind of explain that well, because I do think it's like there's like nuance to it or whatever. And yeah, and James Talarico seems to not totally understand that. So it does make me a little nervous. Like he is doing the whole like distraction and whatever thing. And it's like, guys, they want our attention, and they want to focus our attention on a complete BS ideology. And yeah, it is funny that Sam Altman just has ChatGPT. But it's also funny that they put like Blogger under Google, which is like, when's the last time that you were using Blogger? This is it's a very funny kind of, also he basically just has Apple as well. I mean, like, so yeah. Anyway, I still hope Talarico wins instead of Crockett. And I hope that we get a Democrat in Texas, like in that seat. So, obviously either one of them is better than another Republican, but the tech policy stuff makes me very nervous.